The night air cracked with storm clouds over the Caribbean villa, thunder drowning out Naomi's cry as she slammed the door, her chest heaving with betrayal too sharp to breathe. Naomi said, "How could you touch me like that, Xavier, when you knew my soul trembled?" Xavier followed her, his voice tight with confusion. "Naomi, I didn't know. I thought you wanted me. I thought you burned the same fire." Naomi's eyes glistened, rage and heartbreak flooding together, her fists shaking as she whispered, "You don't even know me, Xavier. You don't know the scars I hide." Xavier reached but froze when she stepped back, thunder roaring like her chest. Naomi said, "You touched me without seeing me, and now I carry the weight alone." His silence felt like betrayal, the storm outside no harsher than the storm inside. Naomi pressed against the cold wall, her robe damp from storm air as she whispered to herself, "Why did I let him near me? Why did I believe his touch was safe?" The villa seemed to close around her, shadows lengthening with each crash of thunder. Xavier stood in silence, guilt wrapping his broad shoulders like chains. He wanted to call her name, but his voice cracked in his throat. Naomi said, "You can't undo what's been done, Xavier. You can't touch a scar and call it love." Her breath shook, as though the storm itself lived in her chest. Naomi slid down the wall, her knees folding, arms hugging her chest. She whispered, "Mama warned me that men like him breathe storms." Memories of her childhood surged, nights of silence, the absence of love. Xavier's silhouette loomed at the edge of light, but he did not step closer. He muttered, "Naomi, I never meant harm." She laughed bitterly. "You don't know what harm feels like because you've never been broken." Silence grew heavy, until even the storm outside seemed to pause. Naomi rose, her legs trembling, but her voice steady. She said, "You built walls of wealth, Xavier, but you never built a heart." He tried to step forward, but she lifted her hand sharply. "Stay," she said. His chest tightened as he realized her eyes held not just fury, but the weight of every wound she carried. She whispered, "This isn't love, this is a wound reopening." He whispered back, "Then tell me how to heal it." But her silence was sharper than any blade. Naomi turned toward the storm, the wind pulling at her robe, her voice nearly stolen. "Maybe I was foolish to think love could bloom here," she said. Xavier's voice cracked. "Naomi, don't walk into that storm." She whispered, "The storm is already inside me." For a moment, their eyes locked, pain and longing entangled. Then she stepped onto the balcony, letting the rain swallow her trembling body, lightning illuminating her defiance. Naomi sat on the edge of the bed, storm still echoing in her chest, her robe wrapped tighter as if it could shield her scars. She whispered, "I've carried too many wounds to believe a man like Xavier could see me." Her mind returned to the nights when silence was louder than love, when her father's absence left her chasing shadows of affection. Xavier stood in the doorway, his eyes softened, but she refused to meet them. Naomi said, "You don't understand what it means to be touched and still feel invisible." He exhaled, guilt twisting across his face. She turned away, her voice trembling. "I'm not just a body, Xavier. I am the weight of every promise broken before you." Naomi rose, pacing toward the window, her reflection fractured in the rain-streaked glass. She whispered, "I've always dreamed of love, but dreams don't heal old scars." The villa air grew heavy, carrying the scent of sea salt and regret. Xavier said, "Naomi, I never meant to hurt you." Her laughter broke, sharp and bitter. "Men always say that," she replied, her voice cutting like glass. "But my mother told me words without actions are storms without rain." He reached toward her reflection, not her body, his hand trembling on glass. Naomi's eyes burned with unshed tears. Naomi whispered to herself, "Love has always been my most dangerous dream." She remembered childhood nights, when she swore she'd never let anyone see her cry, yet Xavier had torn that promise open. He stepped closer, voice low, "Naomi, tell me what love means to you." She turned, eyes dark and sharp. "Love means safety. Love means not fearing a touch. Love means I don't walk away feeling less than whole. Her hands trembled, her chest rising as though her soul was trying to escape. Xavier bowed his head, whispering, "Then I have failed you already." Her silence was heavier than thunder. Naomi sank into the velvet chair by the bedside, the storm quieting to steady rain. She whispered, "My scars are not just mine. They belong to every broken promise I've ever carried." Xavier knelt before her, his voice rough. "Let me understand, Naomi. Let me hold your pain." She shook her head, biting back tears. "Pain isn't meant to be held. It's meant to be survived." Her eyes softened for a fleeting second, betraying the longing she hid. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back quickly, her heart trembling at its own betrayal. Naomi rose, her silhouette framed against the balcony doors, her voice fragile yet unyielding. "I wanted love, Xavier, but not love that breaks me." He whispered, "I can be better." She turned slowly, eyes glistening. "You can't rewrite the past, and you can't erase what's already broken." He took one step forward, but she lifted her chin, the weight of her dignity holding him back. Naomi said, "I will not trade my soul for your regret." The storm outside had softened, but inside, her silence thundered louder than the sea. Morning light broke through gray clouds, casting pale gold over the villa's balcony. Naomi wrapped herself in silence, staring at the sea as Xavier approached cautiously. He said, "Naomi, I need you to hear me." She turned, eyes guarded. "You think words can fix what actions shattered?" His breath caught, her voice felt like a blade. Naomi whispered, "Every time you touch me, I feel the ghosts of promises that never lasted." Xavier's jaw tightened as he stepped closer. "Then let me be different." Her gaze flickered with fire and doubt, trapped between longing and pride. The storm had ended outside, but inside, the tempest was only beginning. The silence cracked as Amara entered, Naomi's closest friend and voice of truth, her eyes sharp as she caught the tension. Amara said, "Naomi, your eyes look like battlefields." Naomi forced a smile. "And what do you see in his?" Amara's gaze cut through Xavier. "A man who doesn't know the cost of his own fire." Xavier bristled, answering, "I know enough to want her still." Naomi looked away, heart pounding. Amara whispered, "Wanting is easy. Staying is where men fail." The room thickened with unspoken wars, each word carving the distance deeper. Later that evening, the villa's dining hall glowed with candlelight, but the warmth clashed with the chill in Naomi's chest. Xavier reached across the table, his voice low. "Let me prove this isn't just desire." Naomi's eyes narrowed. "Desire burns bright, but love has to survive the ashes." The clatter of silver echoed louder than thunder. He said, "Then test me, break me if you must, but don't shut me out." Naomi's chest rose sharply, torn between craving his vow and fearing his failure. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "I don't need saving. I need truth." The night deepened, and Naomi wandered into the villa's garden, the scent of wet earth thick in the air. Xavier followed but stopped when he saw her expression hardened in moonlight. Naomi said, "Your presence feels like fire and chains." He answered, "And still, you can't look away." Her chest tightened. "Because storms are beautiful even when they destroy." He stepped closer, voice breaking. "I don't want to destroy you. I want to rebuild what's broken." Naomi's hands trembled as she whispered, "Then stop chasing me like prey." The garden lights flickered, caught between romance and warning. The storm inside Naomi broke when a familiar face appeared at the garden's edge. Marcus, her former lover and wound from the past. His voice slid like velvet. "Naomi, I never thought I'd see you again." Naomi froze, heart slamming in her chest. Xavier's fists clenched at his sides, eyes burning. Naomi said softly, "Marcus, you shouldn't be here." He smirked. "But here I am, reminding you of what you lost, or what you still want." The night air thickened with old ghosts. Xavier's voice thundered, "Stay away from her." But Naomi's silence cut sharper than both men's words. Naomi's heart pounded as Marcus stepped closer, his smirk sharp in lantern glow. Xavier's voice cracked. "Why are you here?" Marcus said, "Because the truth has been buried too long." Naomi's chest tightened, whispering, "What truth?" Marcus leaned forward, eyes glinting. "Xavier isn't who he claims to be. The man you love has secrets deeper than your scars." Xavier shouted, "Stop!" but the air thickened with dread. Naomi's voice trembled. "Tell me, Xavier, is it true?" His silence cut her deeper than words, her knees trembling as if the earth itself betrayed her. Marcus's voice carried like a knife. "Xavier's fortune isn't clean, Naomi. He built his empire on betrayal, deals that shattered lives." Naomi shook her head, eyes wide. "No, he wouldn't." Xavier's chest heaved, guilt crawling across his silence. Marcus laughed softly. "You thought you found safety, but you walked into the arms of a man who ruined others to rise." Naomi whispered, "Xavier, tell me he lies." He stepped forward, voice breaking. "I wanted to protect you from the truth." Her face drained of warmth, each word echoing like thunder. "You lied to me." Naomi turned away, gripping her chest as memories of trust shattered like glass. Xavier said, "I kept it from you, because I didn't want my past to poison what we have." Marcus sneered, "But poison spreads whether you speak or not." Naomi's breath broke. "You both speak of love, but bring nothing but scars." Xavier's voice rose, raw with desperation. "Naomi, you are not my past, you are my only future." Marcus's eyes burned. "And yet your future is built on lies." Naomi's tears fell, her voice cutting both men. "You've left me no place to stand." The air cracked with thunder rolling from distant seas as Naomi's strength faltered. Amara appeared suddenly, her voice fierce. "Naomi, don't let them drown you in their storms." Naomi's eyes filled, whispering, "What do I hold on to when both hands carry betrayal?" Amara placed her hand on Naomi's shoulder, firm but tender. "Hold on to yourself. You are more than their secrets." Xavier stepped closer, pleading, "Naomi, don't leave me like this." Marcus hissed, "She deserves better than your lies." Naomi's voice trembled but steady. "What I deserve is truth, even if it destroys me." Naomi pulled free from Amara's touch, stepping into the center where both men's gazes burned. Her voice shook but rang clear. "Xavier, you betrayed me by hiding. Marcus, you betrayed me long before with your absence." Silence crushed the garden, every heartbeat echoing. Naomi whispered, "I am no one's possession. I am not a prize between liars." Xavier's tears glistened, Marcus' smirk faded, but Naomi turned away, walking into the villa's shadows. The night swallowed her, leaving them staring at the storm inside her steps. The villa's grand hall echoed with silence as Naomi stood in the center, her chest rising with every ragged breath. Xavier's voice broke the stillness. "Naomi, don't turn away now. I will not lose you." Naomi's eyes burned, her words cutting like glass. "You already lost me when you hid the truth." Marcus leaned against the pillar, smirking. "She finally sees what you are." Naomi shouted, "Both of you, stop!" Her voice trembled with rage and sorrow. "This isn't love, this is war. And I am the battlefield." The air grew heavy. The storm returned outside, lightning striking as if echoing her words. Naomi stepped closer to Xavier, her voice breaking. "You think wealth can bury pain, but money cannot buy back trust." Xavier's jaw tightened, eyes wet. "I didn't mean for my past to stain us." Marcus laughed bitterly. "Stain? You built an empire on ruin." Naomi's hands shook. "And you, Marcus, you left me when I needed you most. Don't stand here like you're any better." Both men froze, her words slicing them raw. Naomi whispered, "I am tired of men writing stories on my skin that don't belong to me." Xavier stepped forward, his voice fierce with desperation. "Naomi, I will not let Marcus poison us." Naomi's tears fell, but her voice cracked like thunder. "You poisoned us yourself with lies." Marcus's smirk widened, feeding on the fracture. She sees you now, Xavier. She sees the fraud beneath the shine. Xavier lunged forward, rage in his voice. Say another word, and you'll regret it. Naomi's scream split the air. Stop fighting over me as if I'm a prize. Her breath heaved as silence dropped, broken only by the rain hammering against glass. Amara stormed into the hall, her voice fierce and commanding. Enough. Naomi turned, eyes red, whispering, Amara, I can't breathe in this. Amara held her gaze, strong and steady. Then breathe for yourself. Not for Xavier, not for Marcus, for Naomi. Xavier's voice cracked. I love her. Marcus scoffed. You only love what you can control. Naomi's voice dropped to a whisper, yet it shook the walls. No man controls me, not anymore. The chandelier lights flickered, as though even the villa itself bowed to her declaration. Naomi stepped to the center of the hall, her voice steady despite the tears streaking her face. This ends now. I am not a wound for you to reopen, and I am not a shield for your guilt. Xavier dropped to his knees, whispering, Naomi, I cannot lose you. Marcus muttered, You already have. Naomi lifted her chin, whispering with trembling strength, Love does not chain me. Love frees me. And if neither of you can give me that, then I choose myself. Her words echoed like thunder, her dignity blazing brighter than lightning. The rain eased into a soft drizzle, the villa walls breathing with silence after the storm's fury. Naomi sat by the open balcony doors, her silk gown damp from the mist, the air thick with salt and sorrow. She whispered, Storms don't end when the sky clears. They live inside where the heart remembers. Her eyes traced the horizon as though seeking an answer in the endless gray. Behind her, Xavier lingered at the doorway, his shirt half open, his chest rising heavily with guilt. His voice broke. Naomi, if my past has poisoned us, then let me bear the venom alone. She turned her head slightly, her gaze sharp but weary. You cannot cleanse yourself by hiding truth, Xavier. Love without truth is a wound that never heals. His shoulders slumped, and silence swallowed him whole, leaving only the sound of rain dripping into the sea, steady and merciless. Amara entered quietly, her linen dress brushing against the polished floor, her steps steady like a heartbeat. Naomi did not move, but her voice cracked. Why does surviving feel emptier than breaking? Amara knelt beside her, her natural afro crown catching the dim light. Her voice was sharp but tender. Because healing feels hollow before it feels whole. Naomi's head fell against her shoulder, tears tracing down her cheek. Xavier's figure loomed in the background, silent, his guilt heavy as a shadow. Amara's eyes cut toward him, fierce and unyielding. If you claim to love her, Xavier, prove it by stepping back. Give her space to breathe without your storms swallowing her. He lowered his head, the truth striking harder than any accusation. Naomi's lips parted, whispering only for herself, maybe peace is the love I should have chased all along. Xavier stepped closer, his eyes heavy with sorrow, his fists trembling. His voice cracked. Naomi, I will wait for you, even if it takes my whole life. I'll carry my sins alone if it means sparing you. Naomi lifted her face, her dark brown eyes shimmering with tears, her voice sharp but soft. Words weigh nothing, Xavier. Only silence and distance will prove your love now. Do not break me twice. His breath faltered, her rejection sinking like a blade. From the garden doorway Marcus leaned, his chestnut skin shadowed by moonlight fading into dawn. His voice cut through like a whisper of poison. She deserves more than either of us ever gave. Naomi snapped her head toward him, her silk gown rustling as she rose. I deserve peace, and peace does not come from men who wound me. Her words fell like thunder, silencing both men. Naomi stood, trembling but unyielding, her bare feet cold against the marble floor. I choose dignity, even if it means walking alone, she whispered, voice carrying like a final vow. Xavier stepped forward, pain tearing through his words. Naomi, please, don't let go of me. Her eyes softened but remained steady, steel beneath tears. Love without truth isn't love at all. It is only chains disguised as comfort. Amara stepped closer, her hand firm on Naomi's arm, her eyes filled with pride and strength. Marcus turned his back to the group, his tailored suit fading into the villa garden's shadows, his smirk gone, his face hollow. Naomi whispered again, voice trembling but resolute. I am not your wound to heal. I am the storm that survived. Lightning flickered once more in the distance, as though the sky itself bowed to her declaration. The rain faded into mist, the villa bathed in the pale gray of dawn. Naomi stepped toward the balcony, her silk gown whispering across the stone floor. Her voice was soft but unbreakable. Storms shaped me, but they will not define me. Xavier dropped to his knees behind her, his voice breaking. If you never return, I will still love you from whatever distance you demand. Amara's eyes softened, her voice quiet. And if she never looks back? Xavier bowed his head, his tears unseen. Then, I will carry her love in silence. Naomi turned, meeting his gaze one final time, her lips trembling, but her voice steady. Then love me enough to let me go. She stepped onto the balcony as dawn broke, the horizon glowing gold, her silhouette framed by light. Her dignity walked ahead of her, her freedom sealed by the sun. The villa awoke under pale dawn light, its walls echoing with silence, heavier than thunder. Naomi stood at the balcony railing, her eyes fixed on the endless ocean. Her silk gown clung to her body, her hair damp from mist. The silence after love, she whispered, is colder than any storm. Xavier leaned against the doorway, his face hollow, his voice weak but honest. I won't follow you now. I will let you walk where I cannot. Naomi's throat tightened, but she forced her tears to fall quietly. You should have told me the truth when I still had a choice to love you fully. Xavier closed his eyes, his voice breaking. Now all I hold is regret. The air stretched between them like an unbridgeable ocean, every word drowning before it reached the other shore. Amara's presence filled the silence, her step soft yet commanding. She joined Naomi at the railing, her linen dress catching the breeze, her hand steady on Naomi's arm. You've carried too many shadows, she said, voice sharp but kind. Naomi whispered, but shadows cling even when I walk alone. Amara leaned closer, eyes unflinching. Then walk in your light. Let them choke on their own dark. Naomi's lips curved in the faintest smile, fragile but real. Behind them, Xavier sank into a chair, his face buried in his hands, his shoulders collapsing under regret. Beyond the gates, Marcus's figure vanished into fog, swallowed by distance. Naomi exhaled deeply, her chest lifting as though she learned to breathe again. Maybe survival is not holding on to love, but finally letting it go. Her words left no room for reply. Naomi descended the marble steps, her silk gown whispering against stone. The villa garden glistened with dew, the air rich with the scent of rain-soaked earth. Each step felt like shedding a chain she had carried too long. Every scar, she whispered, is proof of survival, not destruction. Above, Xavier leaned on the balcony railing, his body tense, his face broken as he watched. He wanted to call her name, but the weight of his shame silenced him. Amara followed close behind Naomi, her presence calm, steady, protective. Her voice was a shield. You are not broken, you are reborn. Naomi paused as the first rays of sunlight touched her face. She closed her eyes, letting it warm her, her chest rising with final clarity. I will not be remembered for men who left me behind, she whispered. I will be remembered as the woman who chose herself. At the villa gates, Naomi stopped, her back straight, her face turned toward the horizon where the sea glowed with the full light of morning. Her breath shivered, but her voice was clear. I gave my heart to storms, but storms never keep what they break. Amara placed her hand firmly on Naomi's arm. Silent solidarity stronger than words. From the balcony, Xavier's voice carried across the courtyard, rough with desperation. Naomi, I will love you even from afar. Naomi's tears shimmered in the light, but she did not turn back. Then, love me enough, never to hurt me again. Her words closed the distance more sharply than any silence could. She stepped forward, leaving the villa behind. The gates opened to the world, and she carried herself with dignity heavier than love itself. Naomi walked beyond the villa gates, her silhouette framed by the rising sun. Each step was a vow, each breath a liberation. Her silk gown glowed like fire against the horizon. Her voice was quiet but resolute. The storm made me stronger, but it will never define me. Amara walked beside her, her stride steady, her eyes holding both pride and love. Behind them, the villa stood hollow, its silence heavier than stone. Inside, Xavier collapsed to his knees, whispering her name into the empty air, his tears unseen but endless. Marcus was already gone, swallowed by the distance, his absence finally complete. Naomi lifted her chin, her eyes bright with tears that no longer weakened her. Her last words lingered like smoke after fire. I am not a prize. I am a soul, unbroken and free. The world bent toward her truth, and dawn sealed it in light.